I want to publicly introduce all of you guys to Jamie Rogers, LICSW. She is coming back to tell us about her ASWB exam story and just the story we kind of started talking about before we hit record. And Jamie says she's not going to take the whole hour, but if she does, that would be great. If she doesn't, we're going to ask her lots of questions and all of that anyway. So, Jamie, talk about how very you were.
Well, so for those of you that don't know, my story started when I was in supervision with Miss Renita, but previous to that, I had supervision with another supervisor for like a short period of time when I first started, when I first got my master's and my license. And so I was with her, and then I came over to Miss Renita and finished out my 2 years with her. And so I was only with my first supervisor for 8 months. Well, fast forward a little bit, when I was applying to take my LICSW exam, when you change supervisors, you have to submit your supervision plan and all of that with your supervisor, and your old plan, you have to, terminate it and all of that. So I had sent all that in, or well, my supervisor did. And I just signed off on it, not really checking it. And my first supervisor put the wrong months on there. And so she put that I was there for 10 months instead of 8 months. But I did the remaining time with Miss Renita, but because the math was not right, they would not approve me to take my test. They told me I had to take 2 more months of supervision. So instead of fighting with them, I'm like, okay, whatever. So I took my 2 more months of supervision, and I was very bitter. I mean, I will not lie. I was upset, angry, sad, thinking I was never going to get my LI, all of this stuff, because I am older, and that's been something that I've really tried to learn to live with, is the fact that I did not do this when I was, quote, supposed to, like back in my 20s or something. And I feel like I've wasted a lot of time. But when I finally got to the point where they approved me, I finally was like, okay, everything has happened when God wanted it to happen for me, not when I want it to happen. And I'm very bad about that. Like when I want something, I want it, and I'm a control freak, and I can't stand having to be at someone else's mercy. And so it really was a difficult thing for me to deal with. So the first probably 2 or 3 weeks of my second round of supervision, I was not very happy, and I would come and I would sit and I would participate, of course, because I'm not like that. But I was deep down, I was just angry, because I was like, there's no reason I've done this. I've done my 2 years, But so I finished that out. I applied, they approved me. And so I was like, oh gosh, they approved me. Now I have to actually take the test. What am I going to do? And I freaked myself out so very bad when it comes to these exams. Like, they are almost insurmountable in my head. Like, I'll never be able to do it. There's no way. I have that playing constantly. And so I knew I had no choice but to take it because of my timing. Because, sorry, I'm kind of jumping all over the place. My bad. ADHD at its finest today. When I finished my supervision with Miss Renita the very first time, I waited several months to even try to apply. Like, it was like, oh God, taboo. No, I'm not ready. I don't want to take it yet. And then when they didn't approve me, I was like on a very tight time schedule, because you have to finish up your 2 years of supervision within 3 years, right? And so I was literally down to a month before, by the time I finished my supervision with Miss Renita in August, and I had to be finished by September 16th. And so I was terrified, and I knew I had to take my test by October, or they said that I would have to start all over again or something, is what the board was telling me. I don't know. It was terrifying. So I was an absolute wreck over it. So when I applied, They approved. Then I started freaking out again because I'm like, oh God, I have to take this test in October. I can't push it off because I have to do it by a certain date, you know. So I did not. When I took my LEM, I bought Agents of Change. I bought the exam prep books. I bought everything you could buy to study. And listen to it constantly, RayTube, all of it in the car, everywhere I went. This time, so I don't know if I'm going to be much help for y'all or not. I didn't do anything. Okay. That sounds terrible. The one thing I did was I made me a little handy dandy study guide. And I just went online and I was like, I know I need to know like the developmental theories, the different, the DSM, our code of ethics, stuff like that. And so that's what I put on my little study guide that I made from scratch, literally. I went on different things. I looked up Sigmund Freud. I looked up, all the different Erickson and all of the different theorists. And I kind of put their major things like the stages of change and all of the different ones, the psychosocial development, I don't know, something. Anyway, I put all of those on there. So I saw a question, I'm sorry. That's what they told me. They told me that I would have to start over if I didn't take the test within a certain amount of time. I don't know if that's accurate or not.
I'm going to jump in. So what happens is when you get approved for supervision, you have 3 years to complete your supervision. And remember, Jamie had started with Daphne and then she came over with me. And all of the supervision, regardless if it's with one person or with multiple, has to be done within a 3-year span. So then when she finished supervision with me, because she didn't feel ready, she waited. She waited several months before she applied to take the test, right? So that cut into that 3-year time period. And I'm jumping in because I want to say this. One, that's why I stay on you guys to get your supervision hours done within a significant, I don't let you, like me and Ashley were just talking, when are you making up the date when you were sick? Y'all know I'll be like, let's make up that date so we can stay within that window. That's why I do that. And we have a lot of new people, Jamie, so that's one of the reasons I'm explaining. But the other thing about that is even if Jamie had applied, she would have then been given a year to take the test. Does that make sense? So even if you go ahead and just apply for the test after we finish supervision, then your year starts over again and you have 3 opportunities within that year. But you have to apply within that 3-year window. Then when you get approved, you have a year to actually take the test and you get 3 opportunities to take it within the year. If you don't pass it, which all the goddesses so far have passed it within that time period, including JB, who was right there, right there at the finish line. But if you don't take it and pass it on the 3rd time, you just have to apply to the board again. That's it. Okay, so I hope that made a little bit of sense. All right, Jamie.
That's one of the biggest things. Like, I never missed a week of supervision. I don't care if I was having surgery, I was sick as a dog. I was at supervision every single week, like clockwork. Every Wednesday, 6:00 there. And so I knew that's one of the reasons I think I got so upset about it and I was so bitter is because I knew I had my hours. I had my time, I had the hours, I had everything I needed. But the biggest takeaway is even if you're not ready to take that test, apply to take the test. You don't have to take it just because you applied. You don't have to take it like right then, but you're already approved to take it when you're ready within that year, And so that way, if there's any problems, you can go ahead and handle it before you get so close to time like I was. I was cutting it close, literally by a couple of weeks. And I would have had to start supervision all over again, which honestly, I would have done it, but I didn't want to do it. angry and mad, and I wouldn't have wanted to do it because, all of that time, energy, effort, money, I mean, everything that goes into supervision, because I don't go into it just, I'll show up that night. I really try to participate and get what I need to get out of it. But anyway, so back to my little story. So I applied, they approved me. I set it for October 24th. I was like freaking out because I kept debating in my mind if I needed to buy like Agents of Change or TDC or something like that. And I could not bring myself to buy any of it. I could not bring myself to study. I couldn't. I was an absolute disaster in my brain when it came to studying. I could not force myself to sit down and retain any of it. The only thing I did was 2 weeks before my test, I made the study guide, and about 3 weeks before the test, I got the exam prep pocket app, and I paid for a month subscription, so it was $25 to take practice questions, and it would give you, 10 or 30 or how many ever you want. And I would take some of those. It wasn't, to me, the app was not worded the way our test is worded, because they do a lot of the first, next, best questions, and I did not have one of those on my Pocket app. And so I don't think it was all that helpful. It got me used to answering questions in a timely manner. I guess that's the only thing it really did do. So like 2 weeks before, I literally made this little it's a 30-page thing, and most of it is our code of ethics, quite honestly. I copy and pasted from different websites when I would look up these people. And then I had a 7-page DSM quick study guide type thing that I just Googled and popped on there. And it has like the major stuff: schizophrenia, the neurodevelopmental disorders, major depression, anxiety, stuff that we see on a pretty regular basis. And I kind of studied that for the last week and a half, 2 weeks. And I literally read over it a couple of times. And then I was like, whatever happens, I had just gotten myself to the point of, I want to see where I'm at. If I have to pay to take the test again, I have to pay to take the test again. So be it. I just need to know where I'm at, and I can kind of gauge my progress that way. And then I can know what to study, because I was so overwhelmed with everything and the whole test and everything. And I took a lot of the other goddesses, what they told us. I didn't tell a soul. I didn't tell my husband. I didn't tell my daughter. I didn't tell a soul. And I scheduled it for a work day. So I took off half a day, and I went that morning, and I sat there, and I was like, okay, here goes, whatever happens, happens. And I literally did not care. I said a prayer before I got out. I went in there, and I'm like, if it's meant to be, it will happen. If not, I'll try again. And so I went in and I passed, and it was just, I cried. I mean, I was squalling when I called my husband. I was like, guess what? Because it was like everything had built up to that. But I psyched myself out so bad when it comes to tests. I did this with the master's exam. I was a wreck on it, but I bought everything. So I felt a little more prepared when I went in. This time I did not, but I studied what I thought would be important. And thank goodness that's kind of what was on my exam. So the exam now, because I took my master's when it was still 4 hours straight, and you could take a break if you wanted to, but it, took away from your time or whatever. Now it's 2 hours and then 2 hours, and you get a 10-minute break in between. I chose not to get up and do anything. You don't have to take that 10 minutes if you don't want it. So I sat there, I closed my eyes for a second, and then started my test again. I just felt like I needed to keep going. I didn't want to break it. So the theories were on there a good bit, Like, I had a lot of questions about different theories and stuff like that. And then I had a good bit of questions on diagnosing. Um, and several like supervisory, and this is the same thing with my master's. I had so many questions about what would I do if I was a supervisor? Like, how would I handle this situation? And I mean, I had a several of those. So I don't really know how you study that, honestly, about the supervisory, but I guess it's your best gut guess. I mean, I know that don't seem helpful, but a lot of us, I mean, some of us are in supervisory roles, but some of us have not been either. So it can be quite difficult to go through. But and then there was, of course, a ton of ethics, a ton. Know your ethics, know your ethics. If literally that will help you more than anything, because even on some of the other questions, it kind of pulls ethics into it, because like, what would you do in this situation? And so if you know your ethical guidelines, then you're going to kind of know how to approach that situation. So I told you it wouldn't take long, Miss Renita, but here I am. I did not prepare for this test like I should have, but it worked out.
Apparently, you should prepare plenty for it because you're sitting here, Jamie Rogers, LICSW. So you did exactly. I'm telling you, it was your timing, Jamie. You're
It
gonna.
was timing.
It was literally just your timing. I want to reiterate something Jamie said, and Jamie, you can speak to this again if you want. But Tanessa came back when she passed her test, and remember her story. If you don't, I can send y'all the link. But she said ethics was in every question. It's not like they had ethics, it was just like ethics was in every question. So Jamie, I guess the question is, why did you feel so comfortable with the code of ethics?
I have studied the code of ethics since I was in grad school. And so it's something I think that I know at my grad program, they beat into us. Like, if you didn't want to know it, you were going to know it by the time you graduated. Every single day, study your code of ethics. Every single day, they teaching about it and trying to explain. I like the way I had one professor that really kind of got into the meat of each one of them and would be like, okay. And he would give us different scenarios of, okay, if this is happening, what would you do? You know? And so I kind of got used to really relying on my code of ethics. And it's important, especially in what I do right now, because I'm the only one. And so if I'm not the one that I want to make sure I'm going explicitly by my code of ethics, because I know that will cover my butt, you know? And so if I'm doing everything by the book, then I don't have anything to worry about. And now I'm not on Miss Renita's license anymore. I'm on my own. And so it is very, I mean, it's always been important, but it really is important. You know, I never wanted to put my supervisor, Miss Renita, or now myself at risk of hurting somebody's license, you know? And so she was correct about literally in every single question, whether it says ethics or says in your code of, ethics, what does it say? It has ethics in it. So if you know your code of ethics, I think you'll be okay. It's very important. Other than the diagnosing questions, everything else is pretty much comes from our code of ethics, which I know don't make a lot of people happy because it is boring to read. I mean, it's boring, and I know that, but it's what guides our whole entire practice. So, you got to know it. Might as well know it now. So,
I love that you said, Jamie, that you had a professor who like bored into you guys and you had to read it every day. I want to tell you, I still read the Code of Ethics every day. I've had to teach ethics and obviously but I still read a section of the Code of Ethics every single day, like I read my Bible. So I just, and no, because of how they ask the questions, It's not like what does standard 6.02 say. It's not a recall. You kind of just have to know the code of ethics. And how do you get to know something? By spending time with it every day. And so, one of the things that, and Jamie, I'm going to ask you, this is my follow up question, but one of the things I think all social workers need to have on their desk is a copy of the latest DSM. Right now, we're in the DSM 5TR. So, a copy of that, a copy of your code of ethics. You can go to the NASW website and buy a literal copy of it. It's only $7. Or you could, do like I did and just print out a section every day. Use your, oh yeah, yeah. Is that the copy you got from the website, Jamie?
Literally copied and pasted it onto a Word document, and it's most of my study guide. But yes, it goes all the way through back here, and I just copy and pasted the entire code of ethics into my study guide. So, but I have a hard copy of it now, and I mean, it stays at my desk with me. So if I have questions, that's where I go, because I don't have anybody to go to, it's just me. So
You can always still come to me, Jane. Everybody else
you know
does
it.
that.
Yes, of course.
You can still you're graduating your clinical, but you could always still come here. Especially, I think it's important because for a long time I was the only clinical social worker I knew. Honestly, even at my jobs, they hired me because of that, and I was all and so to have such a community of clinical social workers around me. So I'm like super excited that I now know all these other clinical social workers. And so, making sure that we all keep each other accountable, I think is super important, especially when you felt like you were the only one for a long time. So you can always come to me. But Jamie, the second question, which is interesting, I have three questions, so this is the second one. You're one of the first people who said there were diagnosis questions on the clinical exam. A lot of people didn't have or said they didn't have diagnoses questions. What were some of the diagnosis questions that you got, and what did that look like?
I had probably a handful, maybe I don't know, 10 or so questions total on diagnosing. And it was, I know one of them was borderline personality disorder. So it just asked me a question, and it was like, this person presents with X, Y, and Z. What would be your first diagnosis? What would you choose to diagnose this person as? And so it would give you a very, not a detailed, not at all. I mean, you have to kind of pull this, but just a couple of symptoms, and you're like, okay, well, it could be this. I need to know the duration. Sometimes it would give the duration, sometimes it wouldn't. But most of the ones that I saw were major depressive disorder, personality disorder, and schizophrenia. So those were the main ones that I saw. Um, it literally three symptoms maybe that they would give you in the question. And then I think one time, because of the schizophrenia one had the duration on it. It was like this person John has been diagnosed or having symptoms for the past year, and these are the symptoms, and then you would choose the diagnosis. And so, but everything else was the first next best. Ugh. But yeah, it was. Sorry, those get on my nerves, because there's always, you can usually rule out two answers right off the bat. You're like, I know it's not those. But the two that's remaining are so neck and neck that you're just like, ugh. But that's where your social work process comes in. The assessment, the planning, the treatment, that if you know that, you'll be okay, because that's where you kind of say, okay, what stage am I in? Where am I at? And so that's kind of what I used to. I even tried to do the little funny mnemonic things in the back of my study guide, like
I literally was going to ask you. I just was writing that down. Did you use an acronym?
the acronym. That's what it was. I did
I like
not.
that you said mnemonic though, but yeah,
Yeah.
which ones did you use?
So I put a couple of them on my study guide. I'm trying to find them. I don't know where they are. But it was like, you see, I didn't remember them. I thought it was about me, but anyway, I'm getting to it. There we go. The area phi. I don't know about that. And then it's like FAREAFI. And they do come in handy for the first and best questions. It's like feelings of the client acknowledged, first above all, and then assess, refer, educate, advocate, facilitate, and intervene. I don't know if these are necessarily helpful, just because I think if you know your social work process, you already know those. You know what I mean? Like, and so it's all about the same thing, that you assess them, you acknowledge, you assess, you do your whole little process. And if you know that, then you're usually pretty good when it comes to it. So I know my story is kind of all over the place and chaotic, so I apologize for that. But
There is no need to apologize, Jamie. We are so excited that you are here and sharing it with us. Jamie, you felt like the acronyms weren't helpful, or you just feel like, because this is interesting, and then we're going to go to Quinn's question in the chat. You feel like as long as you know your social work process, so you feel like because you just know your social work process, you didn't need the acronyms.
I don't feel like I needed them
Mm-hmm.
because I knew the process. The acronyms kind of just get me confused because they use different words, I think. And I'm like, oh, wait a second. And then, I mean, it really does mean the same thing, but like there's so many different ones. There's I don't know, fair, AFI, something, which is the ones I just read. And then there's aspirins, which is literally the same thing. It's just different. And I'm like, I think it was just a little confusing to me. And so I knew my social work process. I knew my code of ethics. So I felt like I was good. I put them on my study guide just in case, and I read over them a little bit, but I did not harp on them because I knew the other stuff. So I felt comfortable with the other stuff. So I did not really harp on those. But with my master's, I did. I don't know what that tells you. That I'm a chaotic in my brain is what it tells you.
Well, Jamie, we've always known that, but it works for you, babe. It works.
It does. It does. Somehow, some way.
I'm a little flighty too, and I like it about myself. I want to ask the goddesses on the call, do y'all feel like y'all know the social work process like Jamie is speaking of, or do you feel like you would know it because aspirins for me was the one that I used over 15 years ago, and Jamie is the first person I've heard even say it with all of the goddesses who've come back to talk to us. And so, Quinn, go ahead. What?
All right, can y'all hear me?
Uh-huh.
I used the social work processing when I took my master's because I got confused with all the different letters and all the different the things that they use, because RayTube used one. The other agent of change used a different one. So I just stuck with the social work and processing guide.
Yes, the Eat Pie one. I think Jessica Parker just came back and told us about that one. Like and Jamie is absolutely right. They're all the same. It's just different wordings. So I'm curious, Jamie and Quinn, like who taught you the social work process? Like, are you talking about from your master's program and y'all call it because y'all are using it and you know exactly what we're saying, but I'm like, does everybody else know what we're saying?
So I learned mine in my master's program.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was another thing they kind of harped on is engagement assessment, planning, implementation assessment, termination, follow-up. You know, that just is kind of what you're supposed to do with your client. And so I knew that. And so I was like, I felt like some of the other stuff, because it was like, acknowledge, do this, do that. And so it would kind of get me confused, because I knew, okay, well, in engagement, I acknowledge the client's feelings. I'm engaging, I'm building rapport, I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do. And then I'll move to the assessment phase, and then we'll do the assessment. And I felt like there was so many acronyms, because there's EPI, there's aspirins. I mean, there are a bunch. And it's like, and all of them say a little bit different, but they all mean the same thing, you know, every one of them. So it was just, I don't know. I think it kind of got me confused. And so I chose not to really study them that much, because I was like, but yeah.
And with me, I graduated from Alabama A&M, and they have these study sessions that they invite Dunn Akbar to, and she placed emphasis on the social work helping process. So that what made me to start study that way, because like Jamie said, those acronyms made me confused, and I couldn't really grasp them. So she did like several different lectures that she came like virtual, and she placed emphasis on the social working process.
I love that A&M had Don come for free.
Right.
I don't know. They probably paid her.
Okay.
Yes.
And she gave us she gave us the free demo of you can either request for the online or the hardback book. I requested the online because it had the vocabulary words, but it was good. So I signed up for it again.
And it was free for the students.
Yeah, it was free for the students.
Come on through A&M, because that's an investment. Because if you do it as an individual social worker, you're paying $250 to $300 to see her. So that is, look at the resources at A&M. And Kimberly, you went to A&M as well? All right. I love that. Go Bulldogs. I love that. I love HBCU. So the fact that they had her come in, I'm like, okay, that's awesome. Quinn had a question in the chat, Jamie. Did you see that?
I did not. Sorry. No.
I
think it is. I'm trying to find it again, darling.
I had asked, did
Oh,
you
thank you.
They started to update the exam from 4 multiple choices to 3. How often did you see which, like, either or? Like, was it more of the 3 choices or the 4 choices?
Mine was way more of the 4. I had 4 choices almost every single question I had. So, and I just took it October 24th. So if that helps.
When you got a 3 answer choice, did it throw you off at all?
Not really. It was still, one was obviously wrong to me. Like, I'm pretty good at picking out the wrong ones, you know. I'm like, oh no, that I would never do that. Like, that's not, you know. So it's always, usually every time it's always between two of the choices. So I usually that's the first thing I do when I look at a question, is I'm like, okay, what are my answer choices? Those are obviously wrong. So I don't even want to look at those anymore. I'm going to focus on these, and I'm going to put each one into the question and see how it fits. Like, would this fit better? Or, you know, and depending on what they're asking, if it's the first next best. I had so many, almost all of mine were the first next best questions, other than the diagnosing few. And then they even put like the supervisory questions, they were first next best too. So almost every single one of them had that in it. So I was kind of hoping they did away with the first next best thing, but you know, no such luck. So
I'm going to ask questions, and y'all please ask questions. Please, 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 please. not only Quinn, but Quinn, I love your questions. Thank you. But the next question I have, Jamie, is I'm hearing your frustration about the next fest and all of that. And obviously you have some, some bitterness going into it. But one of the things I push with folks is, yes, don't tell anybody. I tell everybody that. Don't even tell me you're about to. I love it. It's always a nice surprise when people message me. They're like, I took my test today and passed it. It's like, it's my, and it's always, I'm always in a random place when people message me. I don't even know that's happening. So don't even tell me. Don't tell your husband, your girlfriend, nobody. Just go and do it. But was there anything you did, Jamie, to like take good care of yourself before the exam that helped you to be in a good headspace while taking it?
I mean, I do my normal morning routine like I do every morning. And I got up and I had resolved to, it was going to be what it was, like, no matter what. So, I always take my good hot shower at night and sleep good. And I did get a good night's rest that night and drank my breakfast shake like I always do. And just went up there. I jammed out to the radio the whole time driving up there and just not worrying about it because I'm like, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. So I'm going to go in there. I'm going to do my best and I'm going to give it 150%. And if it's meant to be, it will happen. And so, and I did say a good prayer before I got out. I'm like, all I asked was, God, give me peace. I just want to be peaceful when I go in there, and I want to be able to have an open mind. And I didn't like, please let me pass, please, I didn't do that. I need peace because my mind races so bad anyway and I get myself so worked up that I will just flake on things. Like, I have to calm myself down and be like, okay, this is what it is. So, and that's what I did. And I was very calm and peaceful. And so, I guess that worked. But I was excited that I wasn't like, because when I went to take my master's, I mean, no kidding, I was like shaking. You could visibly see me shaking when I sat down at that little computer screen, because I was like, oh my God, because my husband knew, my daughter knew, everybody knew that I was going to take it. And I felt this huge burden of, oh, I'm going to disappoint them if I fail. Like, even though I know I mean, logically, I knew I wouldn't, but in my heart, I was like, I'm going to disappoint them, There was no pressure. Not a soul on earth knew except me. And so, and it was funny because both my husband and my daughter the night before had asked me, when are you going to take your test? When are you going to take it? And I'm like, I don't know. I'll get around to it soon, and kind of blew it off like that. And so I had to apologize for telling them a little white lie, but it's okay. I just knew I couldn't have handled that pressure. I didn't want that pressure. It would have messed me up. So I went in there and I was just like, okay, this is what it is. We're going to do this, I sat down. I wasn't shaking this time. I was just like, yeah, let's do this. And, it went well. So. What do you think the biggest difference between?
Sharnita, if you're talking, babe, we can't hear you at all. Like no sound. Usually it's just really low and I stop complaining about it. But today I'm like, I don't even, everybody else apparently can hear her. But today I didn't hear no sound come out. Did y'all hear Sharnita at all? Because I know I'm older than y'all. I don't think I'm deaf yet. Not at all. I'm not even gonna go deaf, so I'm not speaking that over. There's some sound coming, but it's still really low.
Okay.
Okay, maybe something's happening.
Let me see.
Talk.
Hold on. What about now? Can y'all hear me now?
Mhm.
It's
Hey.
low, but it's all right. Go ahead.
Low. Hold on.
Maybe you turn your volume up. So while you're doing that, Ashley asked a question, and we'll let Jamie answer that. Jamie, the question from Ashley is, what do you think the biggest difference between completing your LMSW and your LICSW is?
So on the test, or like for me personally, or
I think maybe both, and then also like the journey, if that makes sense.
so the journey for my LI was much bumpier, I thought, just because it was like that them telling me I was not approved was such a oh my gosh moment. I think it kind of messed me up a little bit, and I stopped allowing everything to be like, okay, this is the right time, this is when I'm doing it. I was bitter and I couldn't see past that for a little while. And I hate that, but I was, and I mean, I can't lie about it. That's kind of how I felt. So, my LM was, I don't know, it was much smoother than my LI, but I'm happy everything turned out the way it did. I'm glad I'm in a way, I'm glad that they didn't approve me. I'm glad I had to come back. I'm glad that we did all this stuff, because first off, anytime you're faced with adversity, you appreciate it more when you get it, right? Versus when everything is just easy, or so people thinks it's easy. I mean, you work hard for it anyway, but like, so I've never gone through anything where I didn't face adversity. And so it was like, I don't know, I feel like I've had to scratch and claw my whole way through life anyway. And so when stuff like, when I finally accomplished something, I'm like, I did that, and I'm proud of myself. And so I don't know. I don't know if that answered your question, but
It did. I was just because I was kind of thinking about like like my master's felt like it was more like smoother, I guess, but maybe it's because there was more structure leading up to it, because I was in, just graduated school and everything like this, and now you're like in this career with it while still focusing on this aspect of it. So I was just curious.
I think that's why I got so nervous and so just freaked out about my LI, is because when I took my LM, I had just graduated college, like my master's program. So I waited to go to school until I was in my 40s, if that tells you anything. I didn't go to college until then. So, but so I felt confident and comfortable with a lot of the material that I knew that would be on the test when I graduated college, because I'd just been studying it. And my brain is getting old. Menopause is not for the weak, okay? And I'm forgetful, and I'm deaf, and it just everything in the world seems like it goes wrong, in your body. And I've been out of school for a long time. And so I was really, really worried about not knowing the material for so long. And I think that's why I kind of freaked myself out so much. And that's why in my study guide, I mainly focused on theories and the theorist. And so, because I'm like, I don't remember half of that, all the different stages, like the 0 to 1 and this and 2 to 3, like, I couldn't have told you what any of that was if somebody would have begged me to. And so I was like, if any of that stuff is on there, there's no way I can pass it. So I at least need to kind of refresh my memory of all the different things. So.
Sharnina, you want to try again, babe? She's like,
Can you
no.
hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Great. Because I was like, that's why I put it in the chat. I wasn't even gonna try again.
Oh, I
Um,
didn't see it. But try. We want to hear your voice.
okay. So one of my questions was for you, Jamie. Have you thought about changing up your career path now in the field since you have your license, or like change up where you're working now?
No, I'm happy right now. I want to stay there until I feel like I have met all of the goals that I have for where I'm at now. So I work for Shelby County Sheriff's Office, and I love it. And I'm my own person there. There's nobody else. It's just me. So I kind of get to make this program what I want it. And so I've built the program from scratch, and I'm trying to make something that's going to be lasting in this county. And it's not easy. I can tell you that. Shelby County is it's that good old boys club, and boy, does it run deep. And so it's something I fight every single day of my life, but I love it, and I want to keep fighting it. So no.
And last thing about the test, did you find it harder to separate like your real life experience like in the field versus taking the test? Like, we're taught, it's a certain mindset, the way you take the test and leaving reality out of it, kind of.
No, I kind of put myself in exam mode when I walked in. Like I knew, but I also knew that that's kind of how I practice, literally based on the code of ethics. Like I said, I'm pretty strict on myself about that, just because I never wanted to get my supervisor's license taken away from them, especially before I got my independent license. I was always so conscious of I am practicing under somebody else's license, so I want to practice it by the book. And I think that helped me in the exam, honestly.
I want Jessica. I don't know if you were going to chat, but I saw you making some movements when she was talking about Shelby County Jail. So I wanted to hear. I was like, oh, I wonder what Jessica has to say.
Yeah, I was actually wondering, I missed the part where you said you were at the Shelby County Jail. I was wondering where you worked. So, where is the Shelby County Jail? I feel like I should know where that's at. I'm in Shelby County.
It's in Columbiana.
That's right. Okay. Okay, you're not far from me at all then, because I live in Hoover, but I used to live in Calera, which Columbiana was like 10 minutes up the road. So,
That's where I live now is Calera.
okay.
So, yeah.
Nice, small world.
I know, right?
That was all I had. I didn't even have a question. I just wanted to say congratulations. I know it's been a hard journey for you, and I'm so glad that it was worth it.
Yes.
And to see you on this side of it.
Right. I've not been able to wipe the smile off my face since then. It's been a long time coming. You worked so hard doing your job, your supervision, making sure you're coming to supervision, all of those things, and it all ends in that exam. You know what I mean? And so it's kind of built all up to that 1 4-hour little time frame, and you're like, okay, this is it. I can do this, And so, but don't tell anybody. Study your code of ethics, apply to take the test as soon as you graduate supervision, regardless if you want to take the test. I don't care if you don't want to take the test right now. You can wait months if you want to, but apply to take the test so you know if you need to do anything else, because you never know if one little I is not dotted right or something, or the board just, I don't know, the way when I called Miss Renita, they just hate me, Miss Renita. That's what I told her. They hate me. And, of course.
She said they have it out for me.
I did. That's
but she also, Jamie's history, she is with the Alabama chapter of NASW, which I think all of you, if you're not on the NASW, my chapter membership is still in Florida, Jamie. I haven't figured out how to switch it. I go in and I look at it, and anyways, but she's with the NASW Alabama chapter, and so there's some keeping accountability stuff that happens, right? And so Jamie really felt like they had it out for her.
Well, every time, I called them when they didn't approve me, and they were so hateful on the phone to me. And I was like, okay, what have I done to you? Where do I know you from? And I'm trying to like go through my head because I am on the board. And so it was just like, maybe I've made somebody mad. I don't know. But I think that's why I was so frustrated, because I was telling them exactly what happened and they were saying they did not care, pretty much. That we don't care. You submitted it incorrectly. So now you're going to have to do X, Y, and Z. And so, that's what I did. So,
And I'll say this, it was the first time another, supervisor had reached out to me and said, hey, because I got 3 of her supervisees and said, hey, I'm not going to be supervising anymore. Can you take these on? And so it was it was new for all of us. I was like, okay, we have paperwork and let's but I still think everything happened in perfect timing. Jamie, I have 2 last thoughts. One, are you going to go ahead and do the supervisor training? Because apparently for both your exams to have a lot of supervisory questions and you pass both on the first try, I'm wondering if the universe is saying, hey, since you're saying you had to answer from your gut, maybe your next step is to do the supervisory training. So I'm wondering that.
yes, I definitely want to do that. I don't know about taking on people right now. Like, that's going to be, isn't that 2 years I have to be?
Yeah, you have to be 2 years post LC, but I just want to plant the seed. Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to eventually. I
Mhm.
feel like I need to get my bearings, and I think that 2-year mark is a really smart move, honestly.
I do too.
I
Because they had stopped it for a half a minute. There was a
Mhm.
half a minute there that new LCs were able to go ahead and get to their supervisory S without having the 2 years. And
think that's
I think having to, even if you teach in academia, they want you to have 2 years post, math. So that 2 year, there's a reason why, doing the work for a couple of years before you take on students or people, I think it's just wise, is using wisdom. And so, yes, in 2 years, Jamie, plan C, we'll still be connected anyway, but it just feels like I shouldn't let you leave this call without saying, if both your exams have so many supervision questions, maybe there's a spark there that you could potentially follow. And then the last question is, I know you put in the group me and asked what are people who have their C's doing, and I sent an email to all the new C's, and I just want to say it to all of you guys. Y'all, I will send you my Psychology Day referral so you can get free Psychology Day for 6 months. I will also send the referrals to Alma and Headway. You don't have to use those. I know there's some other ones that people are using, but we help each other all out when we use each other's referrals. So when y'all become C's, please reach out, because I have referrals. We have a whole community of former goddesses who are now C's that also have referrals to some of the other platforms if Alma or Headway is not one you want to use, but it helps you to get the services for free. Know that those are legitimate platforms. Do not go on BetterHelp. I don't want any of the goddesses on BetterHelp. I will come and find you. So go to some of these more reputable platforms that will pay you well, and you're not pimping the profession by, that's how I see it. And you're not pimping that you want to get paid well, reimbursed well. Oh yeah, good, Shirley. I'm telling you, please, none of the goddesses go there. But you want to get paid well, you want to be reimbursed right, and you want to have a community. And so those are some of the ones that I've used. That one, obviously I'll get compensated, but you'll get the services for free, and you'll just know it's a reputable one versus trying to go to some of these newer ones that we don't know if it's the Wild Wild West out there, because that's what it feels like, the Wild Wild West on BetterHelp. And y'all work too hard to be in the Wild Wild West and put your licensures on at risk. So when you become a C, use the referrals that we have as a bunch of clinically licensed social workers here in the Goddesses of Social Work community. So I hope that you guys will do that. Jamie, honey, I'm so proud of you. You did it. I mean, you freaking did it. You did it. You really did. I mean, you get that? I know I keep saying it, but you did it. I know you didn't think you would, but you did it.
I still, I mean, literally, I'll send my husband a picture of my signature. You know, when I sign something at work, I'm like, look at this, look. He's like, I know, honey, I'm so proud of you. And I'm like, you know, I've done this every day, I think, since I passed the test, but it's crazy.
I love that for you. And you should celebrate. I'm glad you're celebrating. And I'm also glad because we've heard this too, Goddesses, a few times for some of the Goddesses who've come back recently. Jamie will make the 9th one since May. I didn't count before May, but I can just tell you we've had 9 Goddesses since May. That's unheard of, y'all, in a community. We've had 9 Goddesses since May 2025, not 2024 or 2023. We've had 9 Goddesses since May 2025 become clinically licensed. I mean, if we're not over here doing something, I just don't know. But one of the things I heard repeatedly from this almost dozen social workers is they are going to stay where they are. They're not rushing to, they're staying grounded where they are. And I wish somebody had told me that, because soon as I got my clinical, all these people from all these different agencies and organizations were like, come here, come here, come here. And I was so ungrounded. I went to the first place and got mistreated. Are you following me? So be really grounded about where you want to go and how you want to use your clinical license versus letting other people come in and say, this is a great opportunity. You know, it might be for somebody, but is it a great opportunity for you? Right? And so the fact that Jamie's like, no, I built this program from the ground up. We're on the news. I'm doing good work. I'm making an impact in the community that I live and work in. And I'm going to use my clinical license there. How grounded is that? As flighty as she says she is, that's rootedness. That is rootedness. And so I just want to just say, one of the things that we keep hearing is people aren't like up and leaving their jobs because they got their clinical. So again, one of the things I heard from Jamie, that I'm going to let y'all go, is she detached from the process. She didn't give this exam so much weight. I think that's one of the reasons she had to wait those 2 months, 60 freaking days that she was so bitter about. But she ended up having to detach from the process. That's how we manifest stuff, y'all. When we stop thinking about the money we want, then all of a sudden Spirit gives us all the money we want. When we stop thinking about the love that we desire, and we start working on ourselves, and all of a sudden a romantic partner comes in. When we stop thinking about how much we want to have this clinical, then we're like, oh, I'm just going to take it and see what happens. Then we get past on the thing. Detach from the process. Know that you're going to be great no matter what you're doing and you might even stay at the same job if it's treating you well. So detach from the process. And Jamie, your testimony is absolutely beautiful. Bitterness and all, because that to me says we needed to hear that part of the journey. We needed to hear that part of the journey. So thank you for coming back and sharing it with us.
Absolutely.
We're
Thank
so
you.
proud of you. We're so proud of you. All right, you guys, I'll see you soon. Thank you, Jamie.
You're
I'll see
welcome.
the rest of
Good
y'all
night.
soon. Bye.
Bye.